Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. So welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy show, and we're talking specifically about the relationship between your business partners. How do you approach your business from your authentic self perspective? And then how do you also, a little bit in relationships, and who are the best examples of that, and what key aspects do you need to think about for the long term? And so one of the things that for me has really opened my eyes reading this book by Gary Vee is called Jab, 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 Right Hook, is really the manner in which he does it. He's recoding it. He's restating it in a different way. I'm going to use an example from the Bible just to really give context of this is an age-old method. We've been having to learn this and apply this for a long time, but it's interesting when you hear people rebrand old information to where it's current and makes more sense in the now. Okay. Before we get into that too much, that was just a short intro. I want to announce a few different things. I'm going to announce it at the beginning and end of the podcast. So if you are here right now and aren't going to be here later, that's okay. But one announcement is myself and Travis Brady, one of my coaches, we are going to be doing an event on May 11th, and it is going to be focused completely on legacy and wealth and how those combined together. And so it's going to be next generation legacy and how to create that in all of the areas that you need. So it'll be wealth, legacy, and it's just going to be awesome. And we're just now getting people registered for that. So if you want more information about how to get registered for that, it's going to be held in South Jordan, Utah, or right around there. It might be Sandy, actually, technically. It's all kind of the same city for me, but it's going to be held there in Sandy or South Jordan, Utah. And it's going to be an all-day event on Saturday. Super excited for that. You guys are going to get great content, more in depth than I can go on any of these podcasts, just simply because of time and adding context. So maybe if you listen to all of the podcasts together, then you'll get everything that I've ever said. But definitely you want to be at that event. Absolutely. And that's just me. I love working with Travis Brady. He is a star in and of himself. So that's number one. Number two is it's time to really go check out my website, samknickerbocker.com, and order my free ebook. We got to get more people out there, more people experiencing this so they can change their mindset about why it's important to actually engage with their audience and engage with the people around them. And so that is coming up. Okay. So if you are watching this live, go ahead and put a heart or a like. If you're watching this replay, hashtag replay and the show notes there. But we're going to jump right in to the jab, 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 right hook. So the whole premise of the book is really that you need to be that in the past, you could do this direct marketing thing where you could come in and just make a quick sale and say, hey, this is the price of this thing, and we're going to go for it. But because of social media, the consumer base is getting more educated and they're changing. They're no longer taking what you're saying at face value just whenever you decide that you want to sell them something. And so now Gary Vee is making the point that it's important that we actually build that relationship. We actually express our authentic self with each other and make sure that we're moving forward from a more authentic place. And as I was reading this book, I couldn't help but think of another experience that I had reading the Bible. Christ was in a very similar situation. He grew in his town and he needed to market his message. And to market his message, he couldn't just go and say, hey, here's all the things that are different about me than what you guys have previously had. Here's all the things why you should follow me than what you previously had. He didn't ask them to do that. First, he went out and served. He went out and just gave and gave and gave and gave and gave tons of information, tons of his content. He just poured his whole soul and ultimately his life into giving content to his follower base to make sure that they knew exactly what he stood for. He only asked for that in return, or for people to follow him a few times. So that's a good gauge, right? Give, and then ask a little bit. And in Gary Vee's book, he says jab, 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 right hook. So the right hook is the ask. The right hook is the close. The right hook is the invitation to follow, join, sign up for your program, whatever it is, become a client. that is the right hook of the sale. But you can't just go in and right hook people all the time. Now you have to jab, 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 build that relationship before you are going to be able to close that deal in most cases. And so that's really the premise of the book. And he's saying it's just good business practice to be doing those things. Okay. And one of the cool things about that is when you think of Christ, there comes a point in time where he actually says, let's come be my friends, right? He calls people his friends. And there's something unique about that, because my friends are the people that I can be the most authentic with. My friends are the people who know me inside and out. My friends are the people who know all my struggles. My friends are the people who know how I treat my family. My friends are the people who see what I do in the morning, what I do at night. They see me at all times of the day, and we hang out doing different things. And some of my friends I've lived with for weeks at a time, right? When you are friends with somebody and when you're including somebody into your life as a friend, there's no more pretenses. The cool thing about that is you actually learn to be your authentic self. And so these consumers out there, from a business standpoint, they want to actually be friends with you. And you have to think of yourself as a friend to your audience. I don't care if you have 30,000, 40 million, it doesn't matter. No matter how many friends or friends, you can only have 5,000 friends on Facebook, but on Instagram, you could have up to 50,000, I don't know that there's any cap, but you have millions of followers. How do you have an individual personal relationship with all of your followers? How do you have an individual personal relationship with all of your clients? If you're Apple, how do you make sure that from the top down, from the CEO all the way down through that company's marketing message, we all feel like we are in love with Apple, like Apple is ours, we own Apple, right? When you are thinking that intense with a relationship of a brand, you want to say, okay, that's how I feel about Apple, that's how I feel about Chevy, that's how I feel about Ford, but how can I have people feel that way about me? Right? How can I create a brand that's so focused on service, so focused on exposing everything about me, that I'm being authentic and I'm building friendship? And as I do that, then people are going to be ruthlessly committed to me. I'm going to find my 1,000 to 10,000 people who are only my tribe, and they're going to support me no matter what happens. They're going to defend me when other people are trying to tear me down, and people will try and tear me down, and they'll try and tear you down as you be very much more specific about what you're trying to achieve. And that's a good thing, right? Because that means you're creating separation and you're being authentic. There's very few people that I know that are completely authentic and everybody loves them, right? We all have little ticks, little things about our personality that maybe not everybody likes, and that's okay. But if you're sitting there and you're a friend to everybody and everybody's your friend, then I would probably say that you're not being authentic, only because there's got to be something about your personality that not everybody likes. And if everybody's just so infatuated with you, then I would say, hey, let's get everybody in the same room and see how you act. Really just to see, hey, are you actually being 100% authentic with everybody? Just was watching this show last night with my wife called The Good Doctor. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it had a good point in one scene. He's this autistic doctor, young, and he recognizes that when he first showed up to the new hospital that he's going to work at, one of the nurses or other doctors, she was really rude to him. Then the next time she was a little bit nicer. And then once they found out who he is, she wanted to be his friend. And so it went from like hostile to like indifferent to she wants to be his friend now. And so he just calls her out on it. He says, hey, so I just have one question. The first time you met me, you were a little hostile. Second time, you were indifferent. This time now you want to be my friend. Which time were you pretending? And then he just walks away. And I would say the same thing. For me, there's a phrase that I live by in my whole life, and there's two types of people in this world, the ones you love and the ones you don't know, right? If you really want to be authentic, you've got to get to know people. You've got to be willing to let people get to know you. And that is just the most crucial thing when it comes to authenticity, especially in business. In our day and age, people are following people. They're not following businesses and brands, unless it's a personal brand, of course, then they're going to be following you. So just think about that as your relationship. When you're posting content about yourself, when you're posting on Facebook, Instagram, these things, don't be always posting asks. Don't be always posting things that you're asking for business, asking for clients, asking for attention. Just be giving and giving and giving and giving. And I would say 3 out of every 4 posts need to be something that you're giving, some information you're educating, you're building that relationship, you're jabbing, if you might say, you're building that relationship of friendship. And then as you build that up, you can say, hey, And the fourth one, you're still giving. And then you, kind of on a backhand, you say, hey, look, if there's anything that, of value that you've seen, please reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Something to that regard. And then a hard ask where you're like, hey, I have this product, go buy it. Something like that, you're probably not going to want to do except for like once every two or probably 12 to 20 different posts. Are you going to want to do something like that? Just because of the interaction, you want to make sure you have a solid friendship and always are positive in the relationship bank account. And make sure you're always adding value, more value than you're asking for in return, because everything in life is a value exchange. And if you are not adding enough value, then you can't really expect people to give value back to you. And so that is the main thing that I got out of Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vee, was just really focusing on, this is a relationship we have to build over time. And as we build this relationship over time, then it can get to the point where we don't even have to ask, right? We have to offer. We just have to say, hey, I have this thing. And because we've created such a decent relationship, such a bonding relationship with all of our people, then they actually will just elect into buying whatever we just say we have, right? Rather than us saying, hey, this is the price, this is what we need, and please go buy this. No, we don't even have to say that. We just say, hey, I'm offering this thing. It's awesome. It's changed my life. I just want to share as much value as I can. And you can get this at this place, this place, this place. And then they will self-select themselves into purchasing your product because of the relationship that you have with them or your service or whatever that is. And so focus on the relationship over time and think of investing over time. I was talking with a business partner, and I've noticed that some people come into my field of career and they think, oh, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to get a bunch of clients really quick. Like, some people do that, and that's fantastic. The majority of people, though, they come in and it takes a year of planting or maybe 2 years of planting seeds with all the people that they know before they start getting that harvest. So if you're here only for 6 or 7 months, whatever it is you're committed to, whether it's an MLM, whether it's a business, whether you want to go be a CEO, whether you want to compete in a fitness competition, you can't just do a short-term thing and expect wild, crazy results. You have to be long-term, and you have to be consistent thinking. And as you do that, as you really focus in on the right actions and the right behaviors and the right mindsets and the right habits, then that's when you're really going to grow. And so for this episode, habits, mindsets, and behaviors that we need to get very much into ourselves for us to really progress. First is our mindset. We have to shift our mindset and accept that we are going to have to give a lot more value than we plan on getting out of it immediately. We have to shift our mindset into, this value is all service, and whether I get anything out of it, we're just going to get it. And we're just going to keep giving and giving and giving and giving until it hurts people not to pay us. I stole that phrase from my friend Tristan Chiklowski. He did the podcast last Friday. If you haven't had a chance to go listen to it, it's phenomenal. But you have to give so much that it hurts people not to pay you back. That's the number one mindset you have to get into. Then the habit you have to get into is actually giving. You actually have to give of yourself if you actually want something in return. So you have to put in the effort. You have to put in the drive. You have to put in the consistent work to actually get something back. So that's going to be just give. And that's a habit thing. And if you don't make it a habit, then you're going to forget one day or another. And then you're slowly going to fall off of the giving. And then the income stops. And then you think, well, I've got to start asking so I can get back to a point where I can start giving again. That's the scarcity mindset. It flips. It's really easy to happen. So the habit you have to get into is consistently giving, consistently thinking of, how can I take examples of my past, examples of my daily life, and how can I infuse them into my message and help people really grow and become more than they were the day before or the minute before, or the hour before, whatever it is. You need to make sure that no matter what's happening, they are always becoming better. The people that you're talking to are always becoming better and always progressing. And so that's the habit mindset. And then the behavior is just the overcoming any obstacles and making sure that you are reaching out to your audience base and bringing them back. So that behavior is going to be, that's your closest relationship, right? When you get to know a friend, you're going to find out all their little ticks, and those are their behaviors, those things that are just like the almost annoying things, but they're endearing. Another example, I had a friend from that I served with my LDS mission, and it was no secret we didn't get along, right? And it took, I was the stubborn one. I wasn't really accepting of some of his traits, you could say, his nervous behaviors that just annoyed me because I didn't have those specific behaviors. And it was really, really annoying to me until I was on a call with him and his family, and I saw how his family reacted. And I realized that this way of being for him is so ingrained in him. His whole family's like that. And it switched in my mind almost instantly from an annoyance to an endearing, man, I love this whole set of traits that I was previously annoyed by. They turned into like the most loving, endearing things about this person that I'm never going to forget. And that every time I see somebody do it, I'm like, man, that brings me back to the most happy place in my life, because I was able to go from judgment into love. I was able to go from fear of the unknown of how he's going to react or whatever to, okay, it's okay however he reacts. And I was willing to accept him fully. And that is something we all have to do. And we have to be willing to share those nervous tics, those things with the world around us. And so another behavior that we need to get into is sharing our failures, sharing the hard things. Because if you're just this rainbow in the sky all the time, people don't want to follow a rainbow, really. They want to know that, or I guess they don't want to always be at the rainbow. The desire to chase the gold at the end of the rainbow is what people like. If they're just like always sitting in a pot of gold, they aren't really satisfied the same way. And so we really have to learn to focus on overcoming our weaknesses, but also sharing some of those things with those around us, and sharing the hard moments, sharing the times when we think we just lost a piece of business, lost a client, lost a battle with our children, whatever it is. Be authentic, be willing to share all those hard moments, because of this last, another short phrase or quote, I don't know what it is, but it's another thing that I live my life by, and that is crisis creates connection. Crisis creates connection. When you go through a crisis with somebody else, or when you involve somebody else in your crisis, that creates an instant connection. Why do you think all of the greatest storytellers, they tell their story in a story of crisis and then resolve? Because that creates connection with their audience. There's been studies done where the storyteller and the person hearing the story, they've hooked both minds up to an electric napping thing for your mind, and both people are experiencing the same psychological brainwaves because they are experiencing the same thing, right? So that crisis, when you bring somebody into that crisis, it actually creates connection with your audience. But if you're not willing to share your crises with people, you're not going to get connected with them. And so it's so crucial that you're willing to share this crisis. So I'm going to share a little story with you. I was setting up my podcasting, all my cameras and everything to make sure that this was going to go live. And I was opening my tripod for my camera, and I just got this nasty blood blister on my finger. It hurts really bad, and it's going to render my thumb basically useless for the next few days because it's so painful, right? What does that teach me? Well, the thing it teaches me is that I was moving too fast. I was just really in a rush. Because I chose to put myself and my energy into a rush, then I ended up hurting myself. Okay, how often do you get in a rush of things thinking, oh, I'm going to take this shortcut. I'm going to speed. I'm going to save 5 minutes off my trip. I'm going to do whatever. And you potentially put yourself in danger, or you do put yourself in danger, or you do get hurt, or you do get a speeding ticket, whatever it is. Maybe you try and do a shortcut with your kids and just yell at them rather than explain to them why they need to change. And it may work that one time, but it causes pain in them. It causes fear in them. And then also the next time, they still don't know why they shouldn't do it. And so they end up doing it again, right? It's so crucial that we actually learn to sometimes the fastest way or the shortcut is not the answer. In fact, most of the time, it's not the answer. Most of the time, it's important to take the time, make sure you're moving forward at a systematic, consistent approach, developing authenticity with your clients, with your children, whoever that is, and make sure that you're always just going to be the same always. Now, this is another announcement that I waited to the end to say because I am so excited. Our guest for our podcast on Friday is Michael Marciel. He's the founder and author, really, I guess you could say. I think it's an author or artistry or what, I don't know how to say it, but I think when I think of business coaches, when I think of people who are really professional at going in and helping people transform their lives, transform their businesses, transform their legacies. When I think of those people, I really think of an artist, right? These people, they're not just there to help you kind of do a little bit of things. They're there to help you create your life from a vision standpoint, understand it. And then once you've created it from a vision place standpoint, you actually transform your life. And then they are able to paint that picture for you. So they're an artist with their words, but then they actually help it come to pass. And so they're artists with their actions. Michael Marcial is an artist. He has worked with many, many people. He's been wildly successful in his career. And I'm super excited. I'm so grateful that he was willing to come on this podcast. I can't say enough good things about him, but he is in topic of the conversation. He is one of the most authentic people that I've met. He's the same on video. He's the same in his business. He's the same in his personal life. He's the same when you go out to lunch with him. He's the same at your friend's birthday party. He's just the same person. He's identified his identity, and he's willing to share his crises to create the connection, and he's become authentic with his clients. And I'm just so excited to have him on Friday. You're not going to want to miss that episode. So go and subscribe on either iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go subscribe to Fuel Your Legacy and get ready for this episode to come out. It's going to come out right around 8 a.m. on Friday morning. You're not going to want to miss this. I promise you. Okay, so that is all for now, but thank you so much for your involvement. I'm just grateful for everybody who is there building their legacy, sharing their passion, because as you continue to do so, you allow other people around you to go live their passion. And so that's why I'm fearlessly and ruthlessly committed to living my passion and sharing what I've learned over my life, because I want to enable and allow other people to go do the same for themselves. So have a wonderful day, and we will catch you next time on the Fuel Your Legacy show. Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.